in the first place? How did it get there?
And what,
Is it always there?
so would you actually say, I don't know? Well, there's a lot of things that we don't know.
I don't know. It's not an answer. When you go, no, look. I can appreciate that, but it's not the right answer. When I go, let me tell you, Stephen, why. When you go to an exam, 10 questions. You don't know the answer. You say, you know what? For every single question, you say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. At the end of the day, when the exam question is marked, do you expect to get 100% marks?
So,
No, because you did not give the right answer.
let's say you was taking an exam 200 years ago, yeah? And they asked, how does the sun burn? One of your questions. What makes the sun burn?
I'm not going to go to a peripheral discussion. Sorry.
Nobody knew because nobody knew about nuclear fusion. So the correct answer would be, I don't know.
Why does something exist rather than nothing?
Because energy has always been there. That's
Energy has always been there, and it made things in the future, like now, from the past, in an assembly which is organized and complex. Yeah? My heart tissue, organ, the tissue itself, made of cells which are different from my lungs. During embryonic development, those cells, they knew exactly where to go. And they knew exactly where to aggregate. And they made the heart. A precise engineered item.
The thing is,
Wait.
some people's bodies, they still don't know exactly where to go, and they don't.
No, exception.
Or they have like,
Exception when you mess around with the program. The program is there with no interference with the program, with extra radiation and so on. Listen.
Not perfect.
Doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, when because the program is there, after a certain time, it should behave that way because the programmer did not want to make you live forever. That's the design already. Fit for that design. That you will not be able to see, and when you become weaker, you will not just, it's all the program.
When you go to heaven, isn't it?
Your design makeup will be different. You would not need glasses anymore. Yeah, you have a different program. Why not?
You have eyes in heaven.
Why not? No. Why not? What's wrong? Having eyes.
Heaven was a kind of spiritual.
No, that's Christianity for you. Islam, in which we will have a body.
You have a body.
We will have a body.
Okay.
Yep.
There'll be a planet. You have a planet.
Hmm?
Because you have a body, you need to have a planet to walk on.
There will be an existent heaven where you can have your own gardens and you can have your own rivers, you can have your own palaces, you can have what you desire.
You have your own planet.
You can have what you desire. So, what's so illogical about it?
But that's what Mormons say. You have your own planet.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So let's come back to the point. Wait. We're digressing. Let's come back to the point. When we talk about the energy, this energy made this universe such a precise assembly, so to such a level of precision. How many decimal places they have correct? Amazing. More than 22 decimal places.
First thing is energy made. When it's like expanding,
No, 1 second.
they made hydrogen.
Stephen, I want to go back to this, right? So, what makes more sense? That thing that always existed, that's what you're saying, energy. So now let's deal with that. Something that always existed, what are the properties that we expect it to have?
Well, what they say is that the singularity was before the universe. It's expanded from the singularity.
No, that's not this energy. You're dealing with the product much later. The initial energy that always existed.
Knowledge that even the scientific knowledge that we know so far.
The energy that always existed.
It's the singularity of infinitely dense energy. Okay? And then when it started expanding, then it condensed into the first element, like hydrogen. It's like E squared. So the first
this energy,
then it condensed into stars.
Stephen, this energy did not begin to exist. Correct? So it is self-existing. If it's self-existing, whatever it has, physical properties, they're inherent. Can there be any limits to these properties? Is there anything that can limit it?
I don't know.
There cannot be, because it was always there. So there cannot be an external influence to limit it. So if this energy has, say, knowledge as a property, okay, let me ask you, why are you restricting properties of this eternal existence and saying that it cannot have consciousness or awareness?
Consciousness and knowledge is called the brain. We know that.
No, 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 no. If the energy wasn't, that thing wasn't self-aware, can it do anything?
Can it do anything? I don't know.
It can't. It doesn't even know it exists.
We know that when it starts expanding.
No, 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 no. The expansion itself is not going to happen because it doesn't know it exists. How can it
We
expand?
know the universe is still expanding.
Stephen, you're not listening. If
With the Hubble.
this energy doesn't even know that it exists itself, it cannot then expand. It doesn't know that, oh, let me expand, because for it doesn't know it exists.
Maybe it's a natural process.
No, 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 listen.
Maybe
If the energy is not self-aware, because it doesn't know it exists, it cannot then will to say, let me self-expand.
Are you 100% certain that?
Energy has a limitation as well.
I mean, look, you got to realise
Okay.
that you can't be 100% certain about everything. Because people didn't know.
This bottle that you
people
said.
didn't know what made the sun burn 200 years ago. And you can say, oh, I'm 100% certain that sun is a god. And people believe that for thousands of years until they discovered new
Is this bottle conscious?
conscious.
Right. Can it make a watch like that?
No.
Why not?
Well, because it's not conscious. It doesn't-
Right. Does it know it exists?
No, it doesn't know.
If it doesn't know it exists, can it do anything?
No, it cannot.
If the energy doesn't even know that it exists, can it do anything?
No, it can't.
Exactly. So since something happened from the energy, from that point, original point or some point, but then things proceeded to happen and got organized to such a precision. No,
Then I could be wrong about that as well, because
No.
you could say, does the sun know it exists? You say, does the sun know it exists? No, it doesn't. But can it do anything?
the sun is only doing what it's programmed to do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If the energy was not self-aware, then nothing will happen, nothing will be done, because it doesn't know.
You cannot say that.
I just gave you an example.
There's a lot of things that we don't understand.
No. I understand, and you understand too.
There's unknown. Because we know we don't
No.
know. Like, for instance, dark energy.
We know something that doesn't have any awareness. How can it even intend to do anything? It cannot even intend, because it doesn't know that I can intend something.
Maybe it always existed. Maybe it's just
We are affirming it always existed. We're taking.
what people.
Are you regressing,
What people do, they make hypothesis. Yeah?
Stephen?
Then they come with a theory.
Are you going back from what you said?
Theory. Okay.
Are you going back to what you said?
What's the theory? What does it?
You affirm the energy always existed. That's now not a point of dispute. Now, from then is the next question. Anything to proceed from the energy, you're saying it proceeded mechanically, just like that. If it proceeded mechanically, that means it follows a particular law. That law, who's the lawmaker? Is it the self? No. Is it the self, or is it external to itself? There is no external agency to make that law. So the self, to make that law, meaning it has to be someone who is self-aware, or something that is self-aware.
I don't really think that you can be arrogant. To say
It's not being arrogant. You are fighting, Stephen. Do you realize what you're doing? Every time I bring something that is sensible, which is scientific, rational and reasonable, you are fighting it, saying no, because every time you are going to accept that, you know the consequence, it's going to be a personal designer. And that means it's going to be God. That means scientism and atheism is false. That's what's stopping atheists from accepting God.
What do you think? Use your brain to think. Yeah? You know anything that thinks about a brain? You know anything that thinks about a brain?
No. Brain is for us to think. It doesn't mean anything that requires to think needs to have a brain. No. What you need for any creation is a particular thing that for them to use a creation to think. So you can create, for example, a thinking tree in the future, maybe, for example, it thinks, right? But it doesn't have to have a brain. So God, we don't say God has a brain. No Muslim says that. But we say God, He can plan and execute the plans. Planning and execution for us comes from a brain. But God doesn't need to have a brain. So what we're saying is, once you understand the energy that you believe in, something exists always, if you take that next step, Either it's self-aware or it's not. Two options. What do we expect if it's self-aware? Intention and volitional way of organizing things. Separating a tree from an animal. Because that kind of separation comes from what? Intentional differentiation.
I mean,
If you have
believe in evolution, right?
evolution is a scapegoat, a comfort zone of the atheists.
Well, we know that.
Some atheists.
I'm saying that.
Evolution has nothing to do with God's existence or non-existence.
So you believe that God created the world as it is now?
No.
Trees, no, as
Stephen,
it is,
Stephen,
all the animals on it now.
do you know evolution has nothing to do with God's existence or non-existence?
I'm saying that the intelligence that you say that God has, yeah?
Mhm.
The evolution, the way that the life is now, it doesn't really kind of like comport to an intelligent design. You know what I mean? Because
Everywhere we see is intelligent design, but you don't see it.
99% of all animals that live on the planet are all extinct.
Look.
You know, that's not very intelligent. It's a
No. You're missing the point. Can you see everything? Stephen, how far can you see?
How far can I see?
Yeah. Limited. Can you limited, right? How much can you hear? Limited. Does that mean God is incapable and he's not all powerful and almighty? It doesn't follow. What you need to appreciate is this: everything that is designed is fit for purpose. That is the intent of the designer in our Islamic belief. You are fit for purpose in knowing who God is and fulfilling your obligation and worshipping God. You don't need to be a Superman to believe in God or to fulfill your obligation. You can be someone, not you, a person can be someone disabled, blind, with no ears, and still can worship God and fulfill the obligation. It doesn't somehow take away from that responsibility. Those people who do not have the rational faculty, they are excused by God's law. The pen's lifted because from accountability. God makes people who are accountable only when he gives them the right tools to exercise it so that they can then be accountable for it. Anyone who doesn't have the tools, intentionally or otherwise, for example, someone had an accident and then he lost his sense and so on and so forth and does things, God's not going to make him accountable.
Your God that you believe in, you can believe in it as much as you want, but
We believe in things grounded in logic, rationality, reason and sense.
I want to know, yeah, you believe in God that He created human beings, created the whole world and everything as it is, yeah? Not through evolution or like that. Just
Okay, let me tell you something. If God instigated a particular rule in which he says, these are the rules, if these rules are followed, then life will then proceed from one to the other. Possible? No problem. We can believe in evolution of all animals and all plants, no problem with that because they are following a preset law of God.
so you know that natural selection is
No. That doesn't mean I believe in evolution. What I'm saying is I have no problems with this kind of theories. But the moment you take away a programmer, a designer, a lawmaker, a rule implanter, and you say this just happened by chance, it's a fairy tale to me. Because I don't see any example in real life.
saying it happened by chance. No one's saying it happened by chance. You know, I'm saying natural selection.
Natural selection is what?
Yeah, natural selection. Yeah, by
What is nature? Is nature conscious?
It's not conscious stuff.
Right. So nature is an entity that doesn't even have a brain or existence. No. Stop. Nature is not self-aware. It's not conscious. It cannot do anything. Do you agree? Nature is simply non-existence. It's what we describe what's around us. But it's not intelligent. It's not something that does things. So when you have a cell that needs to become something else, it needs to know what to do. So you have a machine, right? This is the fact. Listen, we need for the cells to divide a factory of ribosomes, proteins. So, no, please.
A cell for 3.5 billion years ago, a proton cell, a very simple cell with a mitochondria.
Incorrect.
Simple first cell.
This is the most bigoted deception of those pseudoscientists who are telling you, I urge you humbly, go and study the description of the so-called first cell, and you'll be amazed No, 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 no. Listen, listen, listen. You'll be amazed at the level of complexity of this first cell. Do you know how complex mitochondria is?
I'm not an expert.
I studied this in a degree level, right? We both did. It's such a complex machinery of a powerhouse that to say that this thing itself is simple is an insult. So those professors, I wish we had debated them, but some people did. Those professors who said, look, this evolved from, we didn't have this opportunity of those evolutionists who made such a claim. I would have been the first one to say, fairy tale. Why? 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 Because mitochondria and so on and so forth, they're so complex. So we're talking about a factory in which a protein, ribosome is a protein.
Like 3.5 billion years.
How was it?
How would you know how complex that is?
No, no, tell me, how was it?
That's not. That's not.
Look. Go, do some digging and studies. Look at what is the simple thing they're describing. You will find, look, let me tell you like a wobbly thing, right? It's called a wobbly amoeba. Wobble. So, a life needs to sustain itself. Otherwise, it's going to die, right? So what it needs to do is take in energy. So it's wobbling, and it sees the cigarette. How does it take in? It's got a wobbly membrane, right? Otherwise, it's going to just, it needs to contain itself. It's already contained in a membrane. It could be permeable, meaning something can go in and out, whatever. So, how does it know this is food? It doesn't have a brain. Are you saying the earliest cell had a brain?
So you had like 1,000 of them, yeah?
Oh, no. Wait.
They would all die.
Slowly. That wobbly thing is now near the cigarette. It doesn't have a brain or the self-awareness. To be self-aware, you need a lot of things. So it's there, touching it. It doesn't have the sensory system to know it's something there. So how does it even take in as food? It doesn't. Imagine now, somehow one of the wobbly things, just somehow it's burst and it engulfed it. Is it food? It's not food. It dies. So, another, you said hundreds. Yeah, no. Let's talk about all the wobbly things. Another wobbly cell. It came to something like this, and then it looks like some protein source, like glucose. No. Okay, I will summarize it. I'll summarize it. Imagine this was. Do you want to take mine? Yeah? Are you sure? No, no problem. Okay, thank you. So this wobbly source, imagine, is actually what it now came in an encounter is actually energy source. It took in. Now what? How does it then take that energy thing and utilize it? It doesn't have the machines. Because for us now, you have a stomach, you have the enzymes, and you have all these things to break it apart, and then to make it into energy. It has nothing. So what it does, it takes in, it doesn't use energy. I seriously recommend you to go deep into the very first cell that people are saying it is, and you realize, even then, imagine somehow it's breaking apart, like it's squeezing, the wobbly thing is squeezing it. That thing itself is not 100% energy. It needs to get rid of this waste. You need a mechanism to get rid of the waste. We have something like, our kidneys to get rid of this, filter the waste, and so on and so forth. Liver, it has neither. How does it get rid of the waste, which can be poisonous? And it dies. You can go and do the thought experiment and thinking and so on, hundreds and thousands of times, and you realize an amoeba or this kind of single cells would not be able to survive anything because it doesn't have anything.
Well, there's billions of life forms on this planet.
No. The first life form, whichever way it was, to sustain its life, how is it going to do that? Why don't you go and study a bit more?
Are you saying that God created the first life form on this planet?
Nope. We're not going to jump to a something.
Are you saying that, like 3.5
No, what we are saying. No, what we are saying, God, one of his attributes is Al-Khaliq, he's the creator. He creates variety of life forms. He's able to do that. So he doesn't have to create a life form single, then becomes complex. He can create, if you wish, all complexities of different types, little more complex, less complex, as he wants. No problem with God's creative ability.
Why would he do that? I mean, God is he's all perfect, yeah?
Yeah.
God is perfect. There's everything in it. He doesn't need anything or anything, yeah?
Mm.
Why would he want to create a world, yeah, whereby 3.5 billion years ago, or 4.5 billion years ago, then
Good.
this single cell,
You,
and then 3.5 billion
no,
years
no, 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 no. That's what you believe, single cell and so on, right? This is just a theory.
Oh, if he created human beings straight off,
Wait. That's a
why
theory.
would he want to do that?
Firstly, God is the creator of time and space and gravitational fluctuations, right? Quantum fields. So for God, for you, what is millions of years? For God, how long is that? Not even a twinkling of our eye. So it's not really sensible to say, oh, why did God have to wait millions of years? But God hasn't waited millions of years. He sees it all at once. But he can choose to have something created like this, or a process in which something like the earth had to cool down and form and then like this. He could do that.
Dinosaurs and then
Yeah, no problem, he could do that.
T-Rexes and
Yeah, so what? So what? He could create all of this to diversity, he could create anything like.
Why would he do all that?
Now, why? If, brother, 1 second. If I paint a picture with a house with 2 windows, he will say, why not 4? He says, why not 3? He says, why not 5? Do you see? I desired of my own volition to paint a house with 2 windows.
He's perfect. Why would he
Wait. If I paint a house with 2 windows, does it diminish my perfection?
No.
What kind of argument you bringing? Good. So God can create a creation in this way or in a different way.
He kind of does in a way, because I mean,
In what way?
why would he? Everything is. Why would he desire something more?
It's not desire. I use the word desire. Wish. If he intends to create a world in which human beings have wings, he could have done that.
Why would he want to create human beings to worship him? You know, that sounds.
No. He creates human beings. He creates human beings.
The angels. Correct. There's no evidence for angels. You know, so,
No, it's not a question of evidence. When you ask, why did God create us to worship him? He created his creation. He can do that because he's the creator. Creation will follow automatically. Just like you believe there was laws, the energy, law will exert itself automatically. You see? Effectively,
he said that we are his slaves. We are his slaves.
no, don't. Now I think we got the crux of the argument. The reason why some people don't believe in a creator is this ego and pride that we have. Look, we all have it. Not you, not atheists, we all have it. How can someone be greater than I? How can someone be greater and powerful and majestic and supreme than I? That's the problem. That is the problem with most of the atheists in disbelief and pride. It's called the pride. How can they be? Islam is the total opposite of this recognition, where you recognize that someone is greater than you and you surrender your will to this creator.
And if you don't, then you go and burn.
No. If you don't, then you face the consequences. If I drive in the motorway the wrong way, I can do that, right, with my choice. Then I have to face the consequence. Because there's a law and legal rulings, the highway code tells me, if you drive in the motorway the wrong way, wrong side of the road and speed and so on and so forth, you will be penalized. Yeah, you'll be penalized.
The law is not going to burn you.
Wait. God created you and put some laws.
Lose your license, you get fined.
Look. God created you and he puts the laws.
Yeah, you might not survive, you know? You might kill other people, you know?
When God created us, he says these are the rules. If you do this, you get rewarded. If you are charitable, kind, compassionate, truthful, merciful, reliable, honest, you will be rewarded for all of that. But if you are a deceiver, if you someone mock, ridicule, insult, rape, kill, murder and so on, you will be punished for all that. You would say, that seems to be fair.
Is it reasonable for me to question your beliefs?
Of course you can question my belief.
That makes sense.
No, of course you can question my belief. Of course you can.
But if I say something you might find offensive, it could be called blasphemy.
No. Islam is much more in appreciating people's questions, queries, doubts and concerns that you may think.
If I die an atheist, am I going to go and burn in hell?
Okay. The rule is this. If you reject God knowing that He exists, knowing the truth of Islam, and you are arrogantly rejecting it, then hellfire will be your abode, final abode. But
I don't know this. I don't know that.
that's the rule. That's the rule.
And the thing is,
That's the rule, whether I like it or not.
it's not going to really make some sort of
Look, it's up to you. It's not, look, Islam doesn't want people to join for the sake of joining. Islam is not going to whitewash the truth. If God says there's a hell, there is a hell. He made the hell before He created human beings.
Do you have any fear of hell?
Yes,
Yes, cool.
because we all are afraid to fall short from following God's rules.
So that's saying like, God telling you to love Him, worship Him, or I'm going to send you to hell.
No.
That's kind of like
We are required to worship God with love and fear and hope.
love and fear.
Right. We fear the punishment that awaits us if we disobey Him. That puts us back on the track, because otherwise people just do anything and everything.
Fear shouldn't be the part of the equation.
No. We need to have the awareness of God's punishment if we disobey Him. It's very important to that. Look, do you think? No. Do you think all the criminals do not commit the crime not because of fear of punishment, but they just say like, why do you have to do that? Or is there an element of punishment which prevents them from committing the crime?
You have a rehabilitation. Yeah?
No. Stephen, the
Don't
criminals,
take criminals and just burn them forever.
you missed the point though. When the criminals stop doing a crime, do you think there is an element of fear of punishment which stops them from committing the crime, a deterrent effect?
There's fear of punishment. There's also a moral kind of.
No. Is there a deterrent effect?
The most important thing is the moral realization of what you're doing.
No.
If you can teach
You're
that
not being.
fear,
You need to be practical.
but you don't have to have fear.
The reason we have laws is because it has a deterrent effect. It will deter and prevent the would-be criminal from committing the crime, because they know if they get caught, they will be punished.
Right, say like you had say you made a real place, like say the Isle of Wight, a furnace, yeah? All criminals can go to the Isle of Wight and burn forever. And you see them burning forever.
You see, you don't realize, God is not to the slightest unjust to His creation. The creation which arrogantly rejects Him, they are accountable and they face the consequences, which is already ingrained and enshrined in a law beforehand. If a police comes along and says, look, I'm going to now execute you in the electric chair because you spoke too long in Speaker's Corner, he can't do that. They will fail to execute me in an electric chair in England. Do you know why? Because there is no such law preceding this kind of things. No one knows about it. God, He doesn't punish anyone unless, look. He does not punish anyone unless and until He tells them, this is the punishment that awaits if you do X, Y, and Z. That's the justice of God.
So what gets me? Do you believe in, the death penalty is abolished in this country since 1960, the last time they had anybody executed. But you believe in the death penalty. It's real or they have to death penalty certain things. Yeah. So, Islam being the fastest growing religion in the world, probably in Britain now, especially with Dawah gangs getting shahada.
Why do you call Dawah gangs? Are we gangsters? What kind of violence are we using to label us gangsters?
Guiding a new generation.
Do you know the word Dawah gang comes from who?
Gang means guiding
No. Do you know Dawah gang comes from who? The toxic, polemic Christians in this part.
I think you're guiding a new generation.
So you cannot, label someone with this bigoted individual's perception about what's happening, because they're so jealous that almost every week someone's becoming a Muslim. Out of this jealousy, they call you a Dawah gang. No, it doesn't make our a gangster.
Gang means guiding a new generation.
Then the Dawah group.
There's moral.
Dawah group. Yeah, we are a Dawah group, not a gang.
It requires moral guidance. It's a very decadent country, a lot of things which are not right, especially like the family and stuff like that, and morals and stuff. It's going down the drain. So you can see Islam is filling a niche there where people need, But so that's why I respect what you guys are doing.
Okay, appreciate that.
The fear that you have with the laws and stuff like that, if someone goes out of line, they're going to be executed or police with their hands shot
It's
off.
not just fear. Do you not realize what I said? We worship God because we love God, right? This is how our aim should be. The ultimate aim is we love. But we should not neglect the aspect of fear, because fear brings people back on track. So that's why in Islam, it's like two wings and when something flies and gives you direction, I know you have to go. So it gives us the whole balance of our direction, in which we love God and fear His punishment, and we have hope in His mercy. That is the right and balanced approach. Anything that is like you only worship God because you fear God, it's not a balanced
Let's
approach.
leave on hope and mercy. Nice to speak to you.
You too, Stephen. All the best. Perhaps we speak again. Yeah. You take care. So the battery went or what?